Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this presentation. My name is James Smith. I'm a faculty at Brigham Young University, and I'll be presenting for the ASC conference proceedings being held in the cloud this year. I'll be presenting the paper entitled Multidisciplinary Teams, the Continuing Challenge to Collaborate in the Classroom, written by myself, Dr. Evan Bingham, and Dr. Clifton Farnsworth. Very briefly, this is a short presentation, but here's the basic outline, the key pieces of a research paper. I'll bounce through each of those here in the next 7 to 10 minutes. Basically, the previous state of our industry and of academia, for that matter, was that of a very siloed approach to each of our skill sets within the built environment, architecture, engineering, and construction. That's been very divided. This has led to a variety of problems within the industry, and I would argue similar kinds of problems within academia in many ways, certainly manifesting in industry. But current industry model is becoming more like this, and many companies and many individuals are trying to break down these silos to create a more collaborative environment, to reduce finger pointing, and to improve the overall project outcomes. Academia is maybe slightly behind that, I think, but they're trying to do similar things. One way that this manifests in industry is evident in adopted delivery methods, project delivery methods. You can see in this chart, although the data only goes to 2015, you can see the decrease or decline in number of design bid build or traditional projects, while design build, a more collaborative method, has been increasing, I would say, in the last 5 years up to date. That seem at risk there, the little pink line or purple line at the bottom, has also seen an increase and is on a uphill slant in recent years. So industry is responding and trying to be more collaborative. Academia, how we see this right now, interestingly, is from accreditation bodies. The ACCE and ABET have both included in their recent updates, 2016 and 2017, requirements for students to show skills within multidisciplinary teams, to function on multidisciplinary teams. These are important things for students to be able to do in today's industry, and accrediting bodies have recognized that. So we see the need here. So the research questions that we're trying to answer with this, very basic, simple. What key practices, program elements, and/or course elements have enabled successful and sustainable multidisciplinary courses? Do the anticipated benefits of multidisciplinary engagement continue? This is in reference to previous research that had been done in this topic years back. And then lastly, after a few years of implementation, what new challenges are faculty and students experiencing with multidisciplinary courses? So real quick glance at the literature. I want to focus on one quick thing from the literature because it's a key difference. Sometimes we say multidisciplinary. You notice in the accreditation verbiage, they say multidisciplinary. The more accurate term would likely be interdisciplinary. There's also another area called transdisciplinary. The main difference and the important difference in designing courses like this is that multidisciplinary would just mean that many disciplines are involved in a course. This could be a materials and methods course, but it's similar to the concurrent model that you see here from Elvin. What we're really talking about, what most programs are targeting, is an interdisciplinary involvement, which means that the various disciplines rely on each other, much like the real world, rely on each other for their deliverables, more like the integrative model that you see from Elvin. So when I'm talking, when I'm mentioning multidisciplinary, I think it's should be more accurately termed interdisciplinary. The methodology for this, because there is not a lot of data or theory out there, honestly, is basically a literature review, of course, and then we're doing 3 case studies. There are 3 different universities that have been testing interdisciplinary courses for some time. One difference between this paper and previous papers is that I was a third-party researcher looking at these situations, not actively involved in the design of the courses, not a faculty member on the course, which most of the previous work fell into that category. The case studies were accomplished via interviews, observations, actually on-site observations of classroom space and classrooms, and interviews with students, and then also review of the written documentation for those classes. So real key findings or key takeaways from this research. Again, since my time is limited, I'll try to just highlight the key things. First of all, in the program, from the program side, this was found in previous literature as well, but it was certainly re-emphasized and seemed highly critical aspect of a successful interdisciplinary course is having a faculty champion. Very critical to sustaining. There were examples of faculty champions stepping away or stopping teaching a class, and that interdisciplinary effort basically just falling apart as soon as that champion was gone. Challenges, of course, is that the workload actually is more, 2 to 3 times as much, according to some involved parties, and it's very rarely recognized or appreciated from a university standpoint for tenure and promotion. So that makes it a challenge. Even when there's good administrative support, there still has to be a faculty champion that's willing to do that. Other thing, challenge that was recognized at the program level is accreditation. Even though accreditation is encouraging it, it's been very hard for some programs to be able to fit it into their curriculums while they're trying to meet all the other accreditation requirements. So that's a challenge. At the course level, the course itself, some interesting findings with the value systems of the students that are participating. All 3 of the programs that we reviewed were architecture and construction management combination. So a few examples from that. Here's course design considerations. You've got in the architecture student versus the CM student, class scheduling can be a challenge. Architecture students are used to Friday class, late nights. Construction management students are used to Fridays being for working and or for hunting. Iterative type assignments for architecture students are common. Studio culture, common for architecture students, where CM students are used to viewing duplication or iteration almost as busy work, and they don't generally like that, and certainly much more accustomed to a lecture or lab type culture. Language differences, acronym differences, and then even to the spaces that they're sitting in for these classes together or for these interactions. Certainly, of course, architecture students are more comfortable in the art studios, CM more comfortable in their spaces. So challenges in the course design that were recognized. Another one is just the deliverables and the grading. You can see a few bullets there, but if the construction students didn't give good feedback or their portion of the project wasn't done well, and that went back to the architecture students, then that could impact their deliverable as well. Again, just like in the real world, it's very true, but it makes it hard for grading and for assessment. Also, mostly group work, so what portion was done individually, who's in charge of grading each piece. These are big challenges that each of the programs faced as they attempted these interdisciplinary courses. And at what stage do you put each of those disciplines into interdisciplinary interactions? At what stage do they have the base level of knowledge required in order to perform in a way that the other party could rely on their work? So big challenges there. So here's my main takeaways. I'll finish here very shortly. Interdisciplinary experiences are very important. It's recognized. Everybody sees that it has to happen, but we're still struggling to figure out the best way to do that. The success depends primarily on the faculty members. And when a program wants to do an interdisciplinary course, they should focus on a few different things: student backgrounds, establish program patterns and how those 2 programs relate to each other, the distinction between the multi, inter, and transdisciplinary courses, make sure that that's lined up correctly. And that's everything that I have to share, just barely under my time window. So again, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks to the programs that let us come and visit them for this project. It was very eye-opening and I think a very important area that we must continue to make progress in. Thank you very much.